All right. Good morning, everyone. We'll begin by asking, excuse me. So we'll begin by calling the May 16, 2025 Transportation Committee meeting to order, and then we'll ask our interpreters to explain how to access interpretation.
Good morning. Announcement from the interpreter. To use the interpretation feature, please scroll to the bottom of the Zoom screen where the meeting controls are. Click on the interpretation icon, the world, and select English as your language. If you're joining through the Zoom mobile app, cell phone, tablet, etc., please press the ellipsis, then interpretation, and then choose your language. Finally, click on mute original audio to not hear the original Spanish flow in the background. Headsets are available for interpretation. If you're in the meeting room, please check out a headset from the receptionist in the lobby. Buenos días, aviso por parte del intérprete. Para hacer uso del servicio de interpretación, favor de desplazarse a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom donde aparecen los controles. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, globo terráqueo, y seleccione Spanish, español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom, celular, tableta, etc., presione los puntos suspensivos, luego interpretación y luego el idioma. Si no desea escuchar el audio original en inglés en el fondo, por favor seleccione Mute Original Audio. Silenciar audio original. Contamos con auriculares disponibles para el servicio de interpretación. Si se encuentra en la sala de reunión, favor de pedir auriculares con la recepcionista en el vestíbulo. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's take a moment to acknowledge the land that we call home. The tribal nations of the San Diego region has historically faced injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples, who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territory and homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States, from 4 cultural groups: the Kumeyaay, the Igueño, the Luiseño, Cupeño, and the Cahuilla, excuse me. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the SANDAG community, we acknowledge this legacy. We aspire to learn from Indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the injustices of the past. Now, if you are able, please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Francesca, would you please confirm quorum?
Thank you, Chair. We do have a quorum this morning. We also have one member participating remotely. Chair Zito, if I could just ask you a few questions before we begin. If you could please state, without revealing any medical information, the reason for your remote participation today.
It's a parental care issue.
Thank you. And can you please also confirm that you'll be able to leave your camera on and let us know if there's anybody in the room with you that's over the age of 18?
I can leave my camera on for the duration of the meeting, and there is nobody else in the room with me.
All right, thank you. That does qualify as just cause for remote participation, and we can go ahead and begin the meeting.
All right. With that, we'll do a little housekeeping before we move to item 1. The last item on the agenda, item 5, the Specialized Transportation Grant Program, is going to be pulled from the agenda and returned to staff. We'll be hearing that next month in June. With that, let's move to item 1, which is non-agenda public and member comments. For today's meeting, we will ask the members of the public to keep their non-agenda comments to 1 minute and 30 seconds. Francesca, if you would please go ahead with non-agenda public comment.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to give the production team just a moment to reset the timer. And we have a total of 9 non-agenda public comments. Typically, we take the first 8. Chair, would you like to take all 9 at the beginning or take the last person at the end?
Do we have 9 here in in person?
No, we have 4 in person.
Why don't we take the in person now and then we'll take the virtual at the end of the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you guys ready? Okay, sorry, just a moment. Awesome. All right, we'll start with Purita Javier, followed by Cesar Javier.
Good morning. This is the Cesar, and it says, "Dear Cesar, thank you for reaching out to my office regarding your continual concerns over the air quality in your neighborhood. We will be teaching out to the County of San Diego Air Pollution Control District as soon as we have an adequate. Your community representative, Ben Mendoza, will follow with you. If the problem continues, please do not hesitate to contact Ben Mendoza at Ben Mendoza, San Diego. Thank you for reaching out to my office regarding your continued concerns over the air quality in your neighborhood and the bee apiary next to your residence. We've reached out to the city's code enforcement department and the county's air pollution control district, who found no violations of either air quality.
Thank you.
Thank you, SANDAG. This is Cesar Javier, the husband of Purita, who is now declared as Alzheimer dementia because of that pressure of toxicity, which our District 9, look at him. This is not personal attack. We are here to protect SANDAG. We are here to ensure that SANDAG will pursue in its mission for solutions. Solutions. He is not a solution. He is the air pollution governing body along with the Mystic Smile Mayor Gloria. He could have solved this right away because of that Rule 11 exemption of most of the manufacturing in industrial activities. Why did he not do that? Because of the political virus. Money is more important than the safety and protection of human San Diegans. I am here to attest that the political virus that he will be spreading with SANDAG will destroy us all. Look at our District 9, underserved community, environmental injustice. He has his staff, but who are these staff? Ben Mendoza, Dentino, Marin. I think Mr. Marin is here. He did never see our neighborhood. How much more?
Thank you. Your time has expired. Our next speaker will be Katie Levitt. And Katie will be followed by Deb Martin.
Good morning. Kaylee Levitt, Vice President of Government Affairs of Jewish Family Service. We serve individuals of all faiths and backgrounds throughout the county, including through On the Go. We provide rides to individuals with disabilities and older adults. We're also part of the Coalition of Specialized Transportation. We know a lot of time and energy has gone into Cycle 13 for specialized transportation grants, and we're grateful for the continued funding that JFS and others in the coalition have received for specialized transportation throughout San Diego County. We understand that there is a pause and a challenge has arisen. However, we are confident that the staff, SANDAG board, and the Transportation Committee will continue to promote efficiency and fair use of the public funds. We are grateful for SANDAG's continued commitment to ensuring that individuals with transportation barriers have access to transportation throughout our county. And so we're confident and we'll stay posted and we'll be here and continue to talk with all of you to make sure that you understand the issues that are facing our clients and ensure that the most resources are getting to the clients in need throughout the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Deb Martin, followed by the original draw.
Thank you. Good morning, committee. My name is Deb Martin. I'm the Executive Director of Elder Help. We are also one of 5 Specialized Transportation Coalition members made up of 5310 and senior mini grant grantees. We have a combined 255 years of experience serving low-income seniors. With the proposed Cycle 13 funding, member organizations of the coalition will provide services to over 70,000 people in San Diego County. We were a little surprised to see item 5 pulled from today's agenda at the last minute. Obviously, there's been a lot of time and effort put into this over the last year and a half, and we're anxious to have it resolved sooner than later. The Cycle 12 awards were approved by this committee on February 24th, which aligns with the timing of previous cycles. However, we are now 3 months behind schedule in processing these awards. As a result, our organizations are having to delay key service and staffing decisions. In the current climate, with many of us facing significant funding cuts and reduction to programs for older adults, having clarity on our financial outlook is crucial to ensure we continue providing essential services to low-income seniors. Unless there is found to be any sort of egregious errors in the 5310 and senior mini grant scoring process, we are hopeful that the current awards will be approved with a sense of urgency and the awards process remains fair, equitable, and transparent. We appreciate the committee's hard work on this and all of the grantees, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be the original draw, who will be followed by Blair Beekman, and Blair will be our final speaker.
Wait, are you not seeing all of the callers? Are you saving some till the end?
No, we're not saving some till the end.
Okay.
We miscounted at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Jewish Family Services shouldn't be getting any money. They traffic humans. They've been aiding and abetting. They had been for years until Trump shut that down. But they got a bunch of money that they, got from the people to basically traffic humans and children. And, be wasteful with our money, trying to hide it, trying to obfuscate. And so they can't be trusted when they're engaged in federal crimes of aiding and abetting 28 USC 1324. 8 USC 1324. Thinking of another one, that's when you get the federal government to force the government to do their job because nobody's doing that. And so we shouldn't be giving them any money. You should actually be taking it from them because they should be locked up for what they've done. Anyway, you guys need to fix the introduction when you're talking about translations because there is no share button. All of those, the visuals that you show, that's not how you would actually get the interpretation. So you should change that. There's no share screen because that would be for someone that's more of a participant and has the ability to screen share. So you guys need to mitigate that because otherwise you're keeping people from being able to understand what you guys are talking about.
I think our final speaker will be Blair Beekman. You can go ahead.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thank you for taking everyone's public comment here at the beginning. Yeah, the system's been working. Not how we manage our time. I have to learn those lessons myself, and interestingly, it's working. So thank you for taking everyone's public comment at the beginning. I wanted to offer, I guess my usual at this time, I'm trying to learn the importance of the low sand corridor issues, that double tracking the full corridor, I think should be questioned. I think there's serious environmental concerns that we're not talking about openly here in the process. I think double tracking parts of it, preferably in the beginning and end of the corridor, would be preferable. It would just, environmentally, it's just a lot more sound, and that there is ways to manage and work that way. And I hope that it's just not talked about enough at all. And we have to learn how to have that conversation more openly. There is going to be more environmental review. Good luck in that process. I guess that's about all for now. I had one other item, but I can't remember it at the time. But thank you for the meeting today.
That concludes the public comments.
All right, we're going to actually have Mario do our CEO update, and then we'll open it up for member comments if there are any. Mario?
Thank you, sir. First, I wanted to address, we pulled the item for the specialized grants because we wanted to just do some quality control on the summations and the grading, so we can be fully transparent and accountable for the results. So the goal, I heard some of you, the goal is to have them awarded by enacted by the fiscal year begins, so there won't be a lapse. So I want to assure everybody about that. We're doing our due diligence and we're beefing up our processes, which is what we've been asked to do here in the agency in multiple arenas, and this is one of them, and we take it very seriously. Yesterday, I attended the California Transportation Commission meeting. It's going on also today. And there are several key actions and awards that the region will be receiving on funding, as well as notices for future funding awards. Also in San Francisco, I took the time to meet, and I really appreciate the meeting with the executive director of the Coastal Commission. And we discussed the Lawson-related projects, the realignment, the stabilization, and their permitting processes. Earlier in the week, if it wasn't last week, I lose track sometimes, we had a joint working group last Thursday, actually, on microtransit. This is very important that we had this conversation on some best practices, because we will be coming back to all of you for the Flexible Fleets Grant Program next month. So keep your eyes open for that, but that's an emerging subject that a lot of local cities and are very interested on, and we will be coming up with that. Some project updates, the fiscal year budget, fiscal year 2026 budget was approved last week by the board of directors. We appreciate that. We needed it to approve that budget in order to continue the funding, but streams are coming from Caltrans and the federal government, or the state and the federal government. But also, we had a couple of weeks ago our board retreat. And why am I bringing the budget and the board retreat together? Is because there was an agreement that we're going to be having that reality check of what we can afford and what projects we should prioritize. I heard Lawson realignment. Should we do double tracking all of it? Bike projects, highway projects, programs, youth opportunity pass, others. So it's a big discussion, right? Grade separations for safety projects on our rail lines and also the trolley. So there is quite a bit of a discussion to be had. We have certain amount of money and flows, and we have more needs. So you all, the Transportation Committee, the Board of Directors, will be part of that discussion, and you will be deciding those priorities. Our job as staff will be to package those ideas, bring the pros and the cons, and have and put the different alternatives in front of you. On the Lawson realignment, this morning, we released the notice of preparation for this project, for the Lawson realignment project. As you know, this is the second time that we released the notice of preparation. We will be having a subsequent public meeting on this on May 29th at the fairgrounds at 6 p.m. And we will be having a 45-day comment period on this. We have 5 alternatives, but we're also looking on some other alternatives within the alternatives that were presented by the public. And during this 45 day comment period, we will be collecting all that information. And another piece of good news is we can't look the other way to see the incredible growth and development that has happened in the San Marcos area and in Northeast County. But the San Marcos area with San Marcos State, as well as the community college, is a booming area. And Caltrans, in partnership with us that we have funded, will be releasing the draft environmental document for the 1578 connectors. And it also it proposes to add 3 miles of express lanes on State Route 78. So that will be released on May 19, on Monday, also with a 45-day comment period. There also will be a public hearing on June 5th, in San Marcos Community Center at 6 p.m. So that's really, really exciting news. We have one notice of preparation for a very big project, and we have a draft environmental document being circulated for comments for also another key big project that we're doing, a highway project. And also, we will be releasing Friday, May 23rd, our draft regional plan. So that's our blueprint that we release every 4 years. So that's another big achievement. The regional plan is achieving the 19% air emission reduction target that the state requires of us to continue receiving funding. So I cannot underestimate that release of that document and that compliance. The estimated cost and the projects of all the projects within the plan is $125 to $133 billion. And it's substantially less than the prior 2 regional plans. Again, back to basics and trying to get projects delivered. I mentioned to the board of directors last week that we were looking at some issues on the Elvira to Morena Lausanne alignment. We have been looking, we're working with our partners in North County Transit, MTS. We will probably be initiating an emergency contract on that line. We are talking to the engineers and contractors. We're looking for this, increasing the stability of the slope in that project. As we have more information, we will brief you all on that. On the back office project, this is the how we charge both on the I-15 and the SR 125, the tolls or the managed lanes. As you were aware, we have been working on getting a new contract there or getting a new system on board. Our contractor, our vendor, Deloitte and A2B has announced to us a delay due to technical challenges. They have agreed the delay is on them. So what I have asked them is to come out, as well as our team, to come out with the worst and best case scenario so we can begin having those discussions to continue the service on the back office from the existing vendor until we have this system online. So I will be briefing the board and all of you on what is the timetable that's looking for. I'll be heading next week to Houston for a one-day trip, and it's to look at how the managed lanes are being implemented in the city of Houston. My counterpart invited us to look at this in one of the major metros meeting. Major metros is where the more than 1 million people, MPOs get together, the MPOs that have more than 1 million population. And the CEO for the Houston MPO said, hey, come and check what we're doing in Texas, how we're implementing managed lanes. So we're always open to see best practices and see how that could be applied here in San Diego. And finally, we had a great Bike Anywhere Day yesterday. We were 11% higher than the prior years. It was a huge success. I don't want to create a competition, but they're telling me that North County really well, shine together with also Central and South County. But North County increased the numbers substantially on the participation in this program. But overall, we had more than 10,000 people participating. We really, really appreciate this. And this is a way to highlight some of the projects that we've done on the bike lanes, but also how you can compensate, right? You could ride your car, stop, do a part in your bike, ride transit, and then do another piece with a bicycle. Anyway, it was a very, very successful Bike Anywhere Day, and thank you for that. That concludes my report, sir.
Right. Thank you very much, Mario. Do we have any member non-agenda comments? All right, hearing none. Let's go ahead and move to our consent agenda. Any questions or comments from members on the minutes? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Thank you, Supervisor Anderson. We've got a motion from Supervisor Anderson to approve the minutes. Do we have a second? We have a second from Mayor White. All right, with that.
Chair, I'm so sorry. We do have public comment. On
Oh,
consent as well.
apologies.
I'll call up Cesar Javier first, and then we'll go to Blair Beekman online.
Cesar Javier, community volunteer, West Bank of Choyas Creek, under District 9, City of San Diego, District 4 of the county. I am a San Diegan
Excuse
I
me,
was
Mr.
a
Javier.
military-
One moment, excuse me.
person, and I would like
we
to
pause?
contribute into
the
the
time?
minutes.
So for comments on this, if we could just do 1 minute. Thank you. I know that'll take you a second to adjust. All right, please proceed, Mr. Javier.
Thank you, SANDAG. You have been giving us hope. Without SANDAG, we cannot face the county, the Air Pollution Control District, our city, and most of all, the thinkers right here now. We are brave by the minutes of yesterday time. Why? Because the survival of San Diegans through the core city leadership has to be resuscitated. We are here not to destroy it. It's all within the minutes, but rather help together as San Diegans. Sir Mario, this is not an ordinary San Diego. This is the home of the brave soldiers whose families live.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Our next speaker will be Blair Beekman, followed by the original draw.
Hi, Blair Beekman. I think on the previous agenda, that the public meeting agenda that this is approving today, you had regional transit issues that involved the Lausanne corridor, and that was actually the meeting that I learned something very important, that SANDAG officials, when they went to, or a staff, when they're trying to describe the process, they're describing what practices can take place for the Lausanne corridor. Their memorandums and their whole presentations have been seriously geared that we're going to have double tracking and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I think that was a really wrong approach. Board persons of SANDAG were really confused by all of that. They needed questions answered. The staff is coming in too strong. They have to learn to take a softer approach. And I think that's a real issue of accountability we have to be addressing and work on together. Good luck how we can do that together. Thank you.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Our next speaker will be the original draw, followed by Marco Espinoza. Marco will be our final speaker.
Yeah, you guys were talking about transportation improvements, and you seem to care more about managed lanes and tolls and things like that, and, you know, like tracking our vehicle miles traveled as opposed to providing clear evacuation plans and making sure that whatever you're implementing isn't impeding people's ability to evacuate during a fire. You seem to care more about revenue than people's lives and safety, because the things that you're doing, as I've told you time and again, is not making things easier. It's not improving things. It's actually in an impediment move, you know, keeping people in a certain area and not being able to travel outside of that without having to pay more and more money just to get around. The roads are supposed to be for the people to travel freely, and especially when you're not making sure, after we already know what's happened in the Palisades, you shouldn't have to have it happen here for you then to want to do something and take it seriously. You're putting people's lives in danger with the way that you're implementing all of these things.
Thank you. Our final speaker will be Marco Espinosa. You can go ahead.
Good morning. Hello, Marcos Espinosa. I just want to say that in the very beginning, when it was the Spanish translation portion, the person did a very good job, and I appreciate that that was done in the first place. Thank you.
I think that concludes the public comments on consent.
So 1 second. We've got a motion from Supervisor Anderson, a second from Mayor White, to approve the minutes, the consent agenda. We will need to do a roll call and a button vote in order to ensure that Chair Zito has an opportunity to participate. So let's begin with the button vote. Looks like that's ready. And then Francesca, if you'd like to call the roll as well.
Thank you, Vice Chair. For the San Diego County Regional Airport Authority, Rafael Perez.
Yes.
For the City of San Diego, Vice Chair Ela Rivera.
Yes.
For the County of San Diego, Supervisor Anderson. For East County, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
For Metropolitan Transit System, Vice Mayor Dillard.
Aye.
For North County Coastal, Councilmember Zito.
Yes.
For North County Inland, Mayor White.
Yes.
For North County Transit District, Deputy Mayor Edson. I'm sorry,
Aye.
Councilmember Edson.
Yes.
I'm sorry, the Port of San Diego is absent, and for South County, Councilmember Fernandez.
Yes.
And that motion passes unanimously with those members present.
All right, thank you so much. Then let's move to item 3. That is the Transportation Development Act Fiscal Year 2025 Productivity Improvement Program and Fiscal Year 2026 allocations. Brian, if you'd like to present, and then just to give the production team an opportunity, we'll do 1 minute for public comment once we get there. Brian, please proceed.
Thank you, Vice Chair. My name is Brian Lane. I'm a senior transit planner here at SANDAG in the Mobility Division. I'll be talking about the Transportation Development Act Productivity Program and the allocations for their funding for next year. SANDAG, as the Regional Transportation Planning Authority, receives these TDA dollars for our own purposes, planning purposes, as well as we give them out to MTS and NTTD and CTSA FACT. And as part of our duties for that, we do have to go through the productivity annually and then do a triennial performance audit, which we're actually doing right now at this moment. And I'll be presenting the results of that probably in July or so. So this is a whole bunch of things. The one mandate for this is the performance review of MTS and NTTD. And then as part of this item, we also throw in just the performance of CTSA. And then we look at the TDA manual, and we also look at the unmet needs of the region. And all these things are kind of tied into our TDA dollars. So for just a timeline for this whole thing, back in February, you and the board approved the actual allocations and the apportionments for the funds. We do this review of the productivity at this time, and upon your recommendation, the board will vote on this next week to approve the productivity. And then Marcus and his team will come back in June with the actual claims for MTS, NTTD, and FACT. So what are the elements of the productivity review? We do a dive into the data for MTS and NTTD. We have 6 performance measures. Those are shown in attachment 1 bunch of charts and good data. But right now, the results of the FY25 Q2 MTS performance trend analysis indicate that over the 3-year reporting period, operating cost per passenger is down for all modes, while passengers per both mile and hour are up. Operating costs per revenue are up for bus, rapid, and trolley, and down a little bit for access. And then revenue hours per employee are up for rapid, trolley, and access, and then down for bus. The results of the Q4 NCTD performance trend analysis indicate that over the 3-year period, operating costs per passenger is down for coaster, bus, and lift, but up for sprinter. Operating costs per revenue hour is up for coaster, sprinter, and bus, while down a little bit for lift. And then passengers per revenue hour and mile are up for most services, while revenue hours per employees are up for coaster and bus, and then down for sprinter and lift. So overall, the data is looking pretty healthy for both agencies. The other indicator that we meant to look at is the fare box recovery ratios for the agency, and that's how much fare box revenues they get, from passengers compared to their total cost that they have in a year. As soon as COVID started, the state passed laws, and they passed 3 laws eventually over the couple of years to provide relief to the agencies to not have to meet that threshold because passenger levels were down so low. That relief goes through next year. So without a further extension of that laws or changes to the TDA regulations, we'll come back to start evaluating that. But ultimately, MTS and NCTD are proposing to conduct comprehensive operational analysis that will analyze the transit system and determine what improvements could be made to make their networks more effective and efficient. In addition, we're proposing to work together to study possible changes to the regional fare system in coordination with each other, and that would affect ridership, revenue, and many other TDA performance measures listed below. That study's just kicking off. We're going to work with the 2 agencies and with the public, deeply to talk about fares and what that means for their operating costs and revenues, what that means to the public, and all the various ways we can and look at it. It's probably at least a 6 to 12-month process, and we'll be coming back. We're going out to the public in the summer and the fall, and coming back to here and to the MTS and entities boards probably spring next year. So attachment 2 and 3 of your report show their responses to the last triennial performance audit that we had. Between the positive trends in the performance, those audit responses, and the COVID relief that they have for Farebox, staff have determined that MTS and NCTD have made reasonable efforts toward achieving their FY25 productivity improvements and should be allocated their full allocation of the 26 TDA funds. So this vote today is just going to be on that part, but I do have a few other elements, like I kind of said before, of this item that we do put in just to kind of look holistically at all the TDA costs and or funding that we do get in the area. So the other part is evaluating FACT CTSA performance. And we have a new attachment 4 in your item that is a similar kind of a 13-quarter look back at the data that they provide as part of their funds. This performance evaluation is different than what Goldie is going to speak to in item 4 and what Allie would have spoke to on her cycle 13 grant performance. But when she comes back in June, you'll be hearing FACT and a little bit of all these. But FACT does receive a small bit of the TDA funds for our region to be our CTSA. It's about $190,000. And so that's to help do coordinated transportation. So we now have a attachment that does show their performance over that period. Right now, the report shows that FACT is meeting its core functions, but there are some notable decreases over the last 2 years in both the number of referrals and the number of agencies in its database that are contacted on a quarterly basis. So 2 other elements of our productivity review. Another new one is we've now added an attachment keeping track of all the unmet needs discussion that we've heard from the public. Over the last 3 years, we've at our bi-monthly STAC meetings, Social Services Transportation Advisory Council meetings, as well as various outreach for the regional plan and other things we're hearing from the public of what things that we can do better for transit, what's missing, what we need. So we've tracked the questions and the comments that we've received at our STAC meetings into this attachment, and when there are responses from MTS and NCT about specific things, or there's times we will just include it in our next version of our coordinated plan, that's noted in there. And I think this is kind of a nice way to show that we're keeping track of things and then responding when we can, or noting it for inclusion in the next kind of the plan that we are doing. And then lastly is the annual review of the board policy 27 and the TDA claim manual. Our last performance auditors had told us in a recommendation that we should be working more closely with the operators to put any kind of state changes in laws into that manual so they can be more clear for them. And so Marcus and his team have made updates to the manual, and the proposed revisions are in that. And right now, we have no changes to Board Policy 27. I think that's broad enough to kind of include any changes in that, but the manual does have those now changes, and then we've relayed those over to the operators and have offered training and updates on what exactly is in that manual. And that's just all about how they actually do their claims to us to get those funds each year. So lastly, these are the estimated FY25 and 26 apportionments that were approved by the board back in February 25. So weirdly this year, because of sales tax measures or sales tax receipts being down, the proposed or the planned FY26 apportionments are actually a slight decrease from last year, unfortunately. So the way this performance measure and this item works is normally if there's an increase, they're not, you're voting to give them, allow them to have their increase next year. But so regardless, you're voting, I guess, today to make sure that they do receive their full apportionment for next year. And so with that, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions here.
Thank you, Brian. Do we have any public comment?
Thank you. We do. I will start with, we have 3 totals. We'll start with Cesar Javier and then go to the original draw.
Thank you, SANDAG. Cesar Javier. Summary of performance over 3 years. A little nugget of solution. Lessons learned for those 3 years past. Environmental impact, the fire, flood, pollution, air, etc., the economic downturn, live within our means principle, or perhaps SANDAG would present us a cross-section of a particular highway or a skyway where we see those metal bars and all these engineering things and have a cost estimate per linear foot or linear mile for the sake of public understanding how the budget is spent. That's my humble solution. Councilor Rivera, our chair, I hope you are ready to answer or hear
very much. Your time is
inputs from the
expired.
board. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be the original draw, followed by Blair Beekman.
We need to start thinking about doing a cost benefit ratio for the number of rides and the cost per ride divided by taking how much is spent on this transportation, because there's places like Imperial Beach that don't have anybody riding the transit, but then you have a lot of people riding it in a particular area. Most of them are coming from Mexico, coming here to work and then taking their money back into Mexico. So I don't know if you need to charge them more for us to provide this for them, because it's not beneficial to everybody. And you guys aren't, bringing in bathrooms and things that would make it, easier for people to, want to ride that kind of stuff. I mean, the city of San Diego is, getting rid of bathrooms and the ability for people to even use them. It's pretty ridiculous. But you need to be more, because you guys are sitting here and you want everybody to take this kind of transit. If you do, then you need to be providing those types of services so that, people aren't left, unless you want to pass out diapers. I don't know.
Our next speaker will be Blair Beekman, who'll be followed by Marco Espinoza.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks for this item. Sad that public transit numbers are a little down for a lot of things. In LA and San Francisco Bay Area, they're doing really well.
Blair, I'm
really
sorry,
positive.
it's difficult to hear you. Could you speak a little louder?
Yeah, let's try again. Sorry. I don't know what's going on with my system right now. Very sorry. LA and San Francisco Bay Area, their public transit is on an upswing. Ridership is really starting to rise. So it's sad that we're not having that same increase in San Diego at this time. Good luck. I think in the next year, we can be working on stuff to bring up ridership. Good luck what that is. And good luck that in 2026, we can be working on different rail systems through East County and the desert area and we make studies and understandings of what's possible, how to bring rail through those areas. I think it can help relieve the pressure of the Lausanne corridor a lot. Good luck in that work and effort.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Our final speaker will be Marco Espinoza. You can go ahead.
Hello, good morning, Marco Espinoza. One idea I had for improving the system, particularly at the trolley stops, in future infrastructure, and if it's legal, to build restrooms for the users rather than just porta potties. Granted, I think they're only for employees. But even if we have to pay like a small fee to use the restroom, and this is part of the legal, is if there was a bathroom attendant to like, keep it clean and I mean they do it in Mexico. I know it's a different country, but if there was a you go to a nice fancy restaurant or whatever, and that's some places there's a bathroom attendant. Anyways, that's all. Thank you.
That concludes the public comments.
All right, thank you for that. We will now entertain member question, comments, and a motion. Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, no. Anybody interested in making a motion?
Move approval.
I'll second.
We've got a motion from Councilmember Edson and a second from Councilmember Mendoza. I don't see any additional requests to speak to this item. Brian, thank you for the presentation and your work on this. Francesca, if you'd please queue up the voting system and call the roll, please.
Thank you. For the San Diego County Regional Airport Authority, Rafael Perez.
Yes.
For City of San Diego, Vice Chair Ela Rivera.
Yes.
For the County of San Diego, Supervisor Anderson. For East County, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
For Metropolitan Transit System, Vice Mayor Dillard. Sorry, I didn't realize she had left the dais. For North County Coastal, Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry, North County Coastal is Chair Zito.
Yes.
For North County Inland, Mayor White.
Yes.
North County Transit District, Councilmember Edson.
Yes.
And that motion passes unanimously with those members present.
All right, that brings us to item 4. Our presentation will be provided by Goldie, and this will be on the SANDAG grant programs, quarterly status update, and smart growth incentive program amendment requests. Goldie, take it away.
Good morning, Chair Zito, Vice Chair Sean Eller Rivera, members of the committee. My name is Goldie Herbon. I'm on the grants distribution team here at SANDAG, and today I'm going to present a quarterly status update and a performance measures report for competitive SANDAG grant programs. And again, like Sean said, this is a request for approval for 2 smart growth incentive program projects that I'll present at the end of the presentation. So the grant program summary today is encompassing 5 grant programs in total, and the quarterly period that we're covering is January 1 to March 31st, 2025. The 5 programs include Access for All, AFA, the Active Transportation Grant Program, the Environmental Mitigation Program, the Smart Growth Incentive Program, and the Specialized Transportation Grant Program. These program descriptions are all detailed in attachment 1 of this item, your discussion memo. So across the 5 programs, we had 48 active projects, and 2 of them were completed this period. Those 2 projects were completed by the St. Madeleine's Sophie Center for their Cycle 8 and Cycle 9 vehicle procurement project under the Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, Section 5310. As a reminder, the Specialized Transportation Grant Program has 2 funding sources. One, it's the FTA's 5310 and the Transnet Senior Mini Grant Program. I'll provide a project showcase on St. Mad's project on the following slide. But the next item here I want to talk about are watch list projects. So SANDAG places grant projects on a watch list for several issues. The first one is cost efficiency. This is only applicable to the Specialized Transportation Grant Program projects. And this happens if the actual cumulative cost per trip or cost per unit exceeds the thresholds, the performance threshold. And if that happens, SANDAG requires a recovery plan, and then those projects are placed on the watch list. There are 2 other issues that may occur occur that would put a project on our watch list. They would include scheduling issues and compliance issues. And those two are reflected in all grant programs or applicable to all grant projects. So if a grantee is unable to fully draw down their grant dollars, established in their scope of work without the approval of a schedule extension from a policy advisory committee, that project would be placed on a watch list. And finally, with regards to compliance, if a grantee is failing to comply with the provisions of their grant agreement, then they too would be put on a watch list. So getting back into the summary, there are 8 projects in this reporting period, which led to, or there were 8 projects that were put on the grant watch list during this reporting period. The first 3 are from the Smart Growth Incentive Program, and those projects were from the cities of El Cajon, the city of San Diego, and the city of Lemon Grove. All 3 of these projects are on this watch list because they have varying degrees of labor compliance issues that are being worked out. So that's why those are placed on the watch list. Now, the remaining 5 watch list projects are all from the Specialized Transportation Grant Program. Of the 5 from that program, 3 are from FACT, and they are on the watch list because they're both behind in spending and they're also behind in producing project deliverables. One of those projects also has been dealing with invoicing errors. And then the final 2 specialized transportation grant projects that are on the watch list is ARC of San Diego for their Cycle 12 Marine Corps transportation project. They're grappling with late invoicing and reporting. And lastly, Travelers Aid Society's Cycle 12 Senior Solutions project is also having invoicing errors. And then the 2 amendments will be at the end of the presentation, so I'll go through those later. So I just want to present a quick project showcase for the St. Madeleine Sophie Center project. They have a transportation program that provides services to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Their mission is to empower these individuals to realize their full potential. The 2 completed projects have provided over 68,000 one-way passenger trips. So now I want to provide an update on the Specialized Transportation Grant Program's used minivan solicitation. So as a quick refresher, this body was provided with a presentation last September regarding the return of 15 vehicles from the Specialized Transportation Grant Program due to early terminations from 2 existing grantees. So a used minivan solicitation was developed in order to identify new owners of these newly available 15 vehicles who could operate them for the remainder of their useful lives. So the solicitation for these used minivans was released in the end of August, and the application period closed December 6th, 2024. So 8 applicants submitted a request for these used minivans. The request was for 22, and obviously that's more than what we had. SANDAG followed standard operating procedures to solicit a competitive grant program and evaluation process with evaluators that were external to SANDAG. So these evaluators included staff from 3 different operating agencies, which these staff exhibited experience in fleet management, operating, grant management, and grant writing. So these evaluators are vetted for conflicts of interest, and they also complete and sign confidentiality forms in order to participate as an evaluation member. So once the scoring is complete by these evaluators, the scores are averaged out by the scoring panel, and then the scores of each project are combined with quantitative scores that are given by SANDAG staff. These quantitative scores also then go through a QA/QC process through our data science staff to ensure that the quantitative scoring process is accurate, for one, and to ensure that points are appropriately awarded. So then you have the qualitative score from the evaluator panel and then the quantitative score combined, and you see who rises to the top. And so you can see the minivan awards are on this slide. The 4 awardees, were Sharp Healthcare Foundation, who received 5 minivans, followed by Home of Guiding Hands, who also received 5 minivans, and Noah Homes with 3, and St. Madeleine Sophie Center with 2. So now I'll move on to the performance measures report of the segment. So this section of the presentation will spotlight grantee performance data and successful grant efforts during the period of January 1 to March 31st, 2025. So as I mentioned earlier, St. Madeline's Sophie Center completed 2 projects that were awarded in 2017 and 2018. This slide shows the Cycle 8 and Cycle 9 vehicle procurement projects with their associated one-way passenger vehicle trips delivered. So over 30,000 and 37,000 one-way trips were delivered through St. Mad's for their Cycle 8 and Cycle 9 projects. These trips were again provided to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, and Down syndrome. St. Mad's Center project was completed on time and on budget. Their Cycle 8 project was awarded $112,000, and their second project, Cycle 9, was awarded $120,000. So here we have SANDAG's grant programs with active grant projects. So in the beginning, I talked about we were covering 5 grant programs. Here I'm only showing 4, and that's because the Access for All program did not have any active projects during this reporting period. So starting on the far left, we have the Active Transportation Grant Program. There's one sole project in this program. It's the Carlsbad Avenue, Tamarack Avenue project, awarded in 2016. This project has expended 56% of their grant award. And then we move on to the Environmental Mitigation Program. This project has 9 active projects. 2 are threat reduction stewardship projects, and the remaining 7 are species and habitat recovery projects. 40% of grant awards have been reimbursed for those active projects. And then third, we have the Smart Growth Incentive Program. There's 8 active projects, and they're split right down the middle. 4 are planning, 4 are construction. 67% of active grant award dollars have been reimbursed to those agencies. And lastly, we have the Specialized Transportation Grant Program. There are 30 active projects in this program. 27 of them are operating and capital, and the remaining 3 are mobility management projects. 70% of STGP active projects funding has been expended. So now I want to dive a little bit deeper into the Specialized Transportation Grant Program because that's a little bit more nuanced. So these 2 donut charts break up the STGP donut chart in the previous slide. So you have mobility management on the left, which again represents the 3 projects, and operating and capital projects on the right donut chart, which represents 27 projects. As a reminder, mobility management projects provide travel referrals, travel trainings, brokerage transportation service units, and operating and capital projects can include volunteer driver programs, contracting with third-party providers for one-way trips, mileage reimbursements, and vehicle procurement. So of the 27 operating and capital projects, 20 of them are categorized as capital vehicle projects. So we buy vehicles for these grantees. The total number of vehicles procured through just those 20 active projects is 101 vehicles. So you move all the way to the right on this slide and you see this bar chart, and it represents the status of those 101 vehicles. So during the reporting period, 65 were operating at the time. 15 are out of service. That encompasses 14 that were returned to us due to early terminations, and 1 is currently undergoing repairs. 18 are pending delivery, so they're in the supply chain, moving their way through there. And then 3 have been disposed, meaning 1 was totaled and 2 expired their useful life. This information and more can be found in your performance measures report or attachment 2 if you want further information. Okay, so now I'm going to present on the items that are requesting your approval today, and it's the 2 Smart Growth Incentive Program project amendments. So they are for the cities of Lemon Grove and the County of San Diego. So the original Lemon Grove project was located in the city along Main Street between Broadway and San Miguel. The grant project implements phase 1 and 2 of the overall Connect Main Street project. The Connect Main Street project overall is comprised of 7 phases. So phase 1 and 2 includes construction of pedestrian and bike facilities on Broadway, from Broadway to San Miguel, and the project enhances northwest movement of people walking and biking by implementing street conversion, a decomposed granite pedestrian trail, which is the image that you see on your slide here, shared use paths, crosswalks, bulb outs, lighting, and landscape features. So the city of Lemon Grove is requesting a 3-month schedule extension. This would be the city's 3rd amendment if approved. The cause of delays have been attributed to MTS right-of-way right of entry permitting, long lead times for electrical equipment, and lastly, labor shortages. If the extension is granted, the City of Lemon Grove will be able to complete construction and close out their project by next month, June 2025. If the project extension is not granted, the City of Lemon Grove would be able to invoice for reimbursement through their existing termination date, which is March 20th, 2025. But then the city would be responsible for expenditures beyond that deadline, which could be as much as several $100,000. What's going on right now is the remaining items is SDG&E still needs to install meters to commission their lighting. There needs to be an installation of pebble strips for the MTS trolley crossing, and minor landscaping items, punch list items are being executed as we speak. The second Smart Growth Incentive Program project that's requesting an amendment is the County of San Diego's Community-Based Transportation Program, or CBT for short. This planning project provides guidance on how communities countywide can evaluate their existing infrastructure and to identify opportunities to make them consistent with the county's transportation's goals, policies, and plans. The CBT program will include a toolbox of mobility options that communities can draw from to form a neighborhood mobility plan, or NMP for short. During the Smart Growth Incentive Program Cycle 5, the county was awarded $500,000 to complete 4 neighborhood mobility plans in the unincorporated communities throughout San Diego County. That will help analyze how to better connect SANDAG mobility hubs and to recommend future implementation actions. The NMPs focus on the needs of the community and outlines a pathway to evaluate access to all forms of transportation. The 4 unincorporated areas that will receive neighborhood mobility plans are listed and shown on the map. So we have Buena Creek in the city of Vista, we have Valle de Oro just south of El Cajon, and the communities of Lakeside and Spring Valley. This is the County of San Diego's First Amendment request, and it is for a 6-month extension. The cause of delays has been attributed to contracting delays, internal coordination, and additional realignment with other county efforts. If the extension is granted, the county will be able to complete all 4 neighborhood mobility plans by March 27th, 2026. If not awarded the extension, the county would be unable to complete the project's scope of work by the existing deadline of September 27th, 2025. And under the proposed amended schedule, the NMP for Lakeside would just be beginning at that time. So without the remaining grant funds, county staff would need to be reallocated from other high priority projects. Those county staff would have to take on outreach responsibilities previously taken care of by a consultant, and limited staff availability may mean that these deliverables might be delayed in completing. The county has already committed to matching 41% of the project cost and continues to streamline project work where they can, working on multiple pilot communities simultaneously. The county is confident that with the extension, the project can be completed by March of 2026. This concludes my presentation. For reference on the screen, the SANDAG staff members are listed on the slide relative to their programs. We're happy to answer any questions. The City of Lemon Grove is also here, and the County of San Diego, to answer any amendment-related questions should you have them. And I have the Specialized Transportation Grant Program Program Manager here also if you have any questions about the used minivan solicitation.
Thank you so much, Goldie. All right, do we have any public comment on this item?
Thank you, we do. We have 3 public comments, starting with Cesar Javier, and then we'll go to the original draw.
Thank you, SANDAG. Cesar Javier. I think the staff of our District 9 here, Councilor Rivera, with his staff, we will learn from each other with these teachings. I am trying to shoot on 2 amendments, which says here that the city of San Diego and the rest are behind. I tell you, if they are behind, what I have declared that there is political virus is one of the reasons. There is iniquity and the lack of priority, which should be in accord with the county. They are telling us, oh, this is a violation of the state, so we do this. How could you say that? Councilor Rivera, former council president, and now the environmental chair, king of environment solution. You must have lots of inputs here.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Your time has expired. Our next speaker will be the original draw, followed by Blair Beekman.
With how prevalent sexual assault is in the county of San Diego and the cities across the county, and this happens in transportation, but it also happens in the care of, people that are supposed to provide care for children or juveniles, even seniors. And so I'm wondering what the checks and balances are with that. I mean, Jewish Family Services ethics should be in question when they have trafficked children who came unaccompanied across the border and are missing. They're actually being raped and assaulted. So, it leads me to question, what's actually taking place within these rideshare, especially with the disabled and people that aren't able to really, fight back or anything like that. They're easy targets. And so I'm just wondering what you guys do to make sure that's not happening, and can that be trusted if across the county, like I'm saying, there's a lot of lawsuits, class action lawsuits that are coming forward for sexual abuse happening within the services that are provided.
I think our final speaker will be Blair Beekman. You can go ahead.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Hear me?
I'm so sorry, you're muffled again. There we go.
Yeah, my thing is having trouble. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm very sorry. Let me try again here, if you can hear me.
We can
To
now.
continue, there is, you had a micro transit public meeting back around May 2nd or so. It was interesting. I didn't attend, but it sounds like it possibly could be applicable to things here. I'm really interested that we're kind of taking steps backwards to really work on making sure we're doing our micro mobility things well. And we're doing like on this item. And then from there, I think it can develop some really interesting future steps for us about the future of transportation. Good luck how we can do it well. Thanks for this item.
That concludes the public comments.
Okay. Do we have any member questions, comments? Anyone, Member Mendoza?
I didn't hear this mentioned, but the project, the Connect Main Street project in Lemon Grove, it's about 95% complete. And one of the reasons for the delay in this project was Main Street runs, as you kind of saw there, it runs parallel to the railroad tracks. And there were two major crossings, San Miguel Avenue and Central Avenue. And it was kind of complicated. We wanted to make sure that this was as safe as possible for people who are going to be walking and biking along this trail. And I've walked it myself several times. I've talked to residents, and it's just really improved the aesthetics along the railroad tracks for the residents who live on Main Street. And it's a much safer area for people. You see people walking their dogs and taking their kids for a walk, and it's just a really great project for Lemon Grove. And I appreciate your support for this amendment. Thank you.
Councilmember Mendoza, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would. I would move approval.
All right. Supervisor Anderson, Councilmember Fernandez actually beat you to the punch there. Getting a little slow. A little surprise. Okay. All right. You said it first, it just got here after. Understood. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Any additional questions or comments? All right. I did have one. The first is really just kind of trying to understand, I guess, procedurally. The Carlsbad amendment request, if I'm reading this correctly, the end date is May 9th, 2025.
It's the city of Lemon Grove and the county of San Diego that are requesting amendments, not Carlsbad.
Right, but understood, but am I reading a different memo? The discussion memo that was attached to this as you were giving the updates? I recognize that it's not the action that's in front of us.
Oh, got it, got it.
The discussion and presentation, you referenced a project in Carlsbad, right?
Yes.
So what happens when I'm reading two different things here. The end date was May 9th, but that there's also recommendations for a different direction. I'm just trying to understand kind of what that looks like when it has expired, but the new direction hasn't necessarily been agreed to.
Hi, so I am Jenny Russo. I'm the grants program manager here and I work with Goldie on the Carlsbad amendment. So we had brought forward an action here. I think it was at the April meeting requesting an amendment. It went through ITALK and it went to this committee and it was ultimately scheduled to go to our board in May. That item was pulled and was supposed to bring back. Since then, the Carlsbad City Council has given their staff direction to make some changes to the project. So we're working with city staff to understand how that impacts what their request was. So that item will be coming back through this committee for consideration. Right now, there's no work being done on the project. The project is on hold, and we're trying to understand from city staff, what do they want to do to move forward? Will they have a new amendment request? We're not sure. So that will definitely come back here. If they don't pursue an amendment or something there would change, we would definitely bring it in the next quarterly report and let you know what happens with the remaining grant balance, what happens to the project, all those sorts of things.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that. And then the city of San Diego's the project there that was on the watch list for labor compliance issues. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, this project has been reported to the Department of Industrial Relations, and we've been assigned an agent, so it's undergoing investigation. And we've issued a 2-year administrative amendment to accommodate that investigation to ensure that it's complete and closed out, to close out that project. But the project itself construction is complete, everything is done.
I presume it's the contractor.
Correct.
Is there a question about whether or not they paid folks? That's
Yes.
the concern?
Yes.
It's a wage theft issue?
Correct.
Can we know who the contractor was?
I don't recall, but I can get back to you.
Okay.
And provide
Know that.
the contractor.
Thank you. So we've got a motion and a second on the floor. Again, we'll be voting both by remote and voice vote. Francesca, if you please call the roll.
Thank you, Vice Chair. For the San Diego County Regional Airport Authority, Rafael Perez.
Yes.
For the City of San Diego, Vice Chair Ela Rivera.
Yes.
For the County of San Diego, Supervisor Anderson. For East County, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
For Metropolitan Transit System, Vice Mayor Dillard.
Yes.
For North County Coastal, Chair Zito.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Chair, could you repeat that? Could you give a thumbs up if you're saying yes? It keeps cutting out for some reason. Okay, thank you so much. For North County Inland, Mayor White.
Yes.
For North County Transit District, Councilmember Edson.
Yes.
And that motion passes unanimously with those members present.
All right. Thank you so much. Councilmember Dillard, I did want to give you an opportunity. Francesca, would it be all right for Councilmember to register a vote on the item?
Number 3, I was going to ask her after the meeting.
Yes, absolutely. If you just want to state it for the record, we can amend it.
Yes, on number 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With that behind us, that concludes our meeting. Our next Transportation Committee meeting is scheduled for Friday, June 6th at 1 p.m. With that, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.